Hi, and welcome to the Femke van Liempt Podcast, where I raise awareness around mental health by sharing my own life experiences and those of my guests by having conversations with them about what would they tell their younger self with the knowledge of now. How did they grow up, to where are they today, and how do they reflect back on it? And today I'm joined by James TW, whose music has touched hearts across the globe. He started with playing drums at 10 years, singing covers on YouTube at just 12, to performing on The Ellen Show and touring with Shawn Mendes at 18, and to releasing songs like When You Lost Someone that have gathered hundreds of millions of streams. James TW has built a career rooted in honesty and emotion. And what makes today even more special is that it all started with just a comment on TikTok to sitting here right next to me. And I'm beyond grateful for this conversation and the opportunity, and can't wait to explore the stories behind your music and your life. And thank you for giving me the chance.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah. And the video that you made on TikTok, I think was the real reason that I said yes, because you put a lot of effort into making that video, and I really appreciated that. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I was like, I'm not going to let this chance slip by.
You were you were on it really quick. I was very impressed. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you started doing music really young. Mm-hmm. If you look back now, what kind of child were you?
I was a very energetic child. I liked a lot of attention. I still do, I think. And I think I was very creative. I wasn't very good in school academically, so I played sports, and I liked writing songs and coming up with ideas and plays and things like that.
And when you think back to your younger self, what did you dream about most?
I think music pretty early on was my dream. Yeah. Basically from 10, when you said I started playing drums in my dad's wedding band, from the first show that I played with my dad, I knew I wanted to be in music. I just loved performing with a band and making people come together and make them happy and be a part of that. That was infectious. So after that, I just sort of said, I don't know what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do it, but I want to be doing this.
Mm-hmm. And did you already practice music in school?
I had started playing violin first, and I was terrible, like really bad. And my poor parents, that when my younger siblings started playing violin and I'd given up, I only then understood how painful it is to listen to someone who's really bad at violin. So my parents did that for 2 years, then I quit. And I didn't love music playing the violin. It was only when I found the drums that it changed my mind.
And then you decided to follow your dreams, and here you are.
Yeah.
Did they believe in your dreams when you were at school?
My parents were very supportive of me pursuing anything that I really loved. It didn't have to be, go to school, then go to university, get a safe job, and then do so. They saw I loved music, and they said go for it from the beginning, I'm very lucky, I guess, that my parents were like that.
And at school, when you practice music during lessons, were the teachers also supportive, or?
Less so. Oh. I think the school obviously wants to look good to other schools when you compare them. So I think they cared more about the grades and how they looked compared to other schools in the area or in the country. So they liked watching me perform if I was going to in a school concert. But when I sort of told teachers, maybe 15 or so, I'm going to try and do this full time, a lot of them were telling me, you need to get your grades sort of first. And they were being like the opposite of what my parents were being, in a way.
But still you went through with your music.
Yeah.
And you've grown up in the public eye. How does that shape your sense of self?
That's a really good question. I don't think I've been in the public eye as much as people think. I think the songs that I've sung and written and released, I think those songs have been way more in the public eye than I have, and I think that's because of streaming. I think it's to do with the way people listen to music nowadays. I have so many bands and artists that I love, but I don't actually know what any of them look like. And wrongly so. I should sort of invest a bit more time looking, but we're so used to finding music on a playlist now, and I think that's how my music started to grow in the world, was sort of passively. People would be in the kitchen making dinner, and then I would come on the playlist, and they liked the song, so they'd add it to a playlist, but they wouldn't go, what does he look like? What is he like as a person? So I think it's actually been quite easy because really it's the music that's been the popular thing, not me as a person, if that makes sense.
Are you grateful for it that you're more like unknown?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the best. It's like the best of both worlds in a way, because I want people to care the most about the music. Yeah. But also I think there's another side of it where I think if you do know the personality of the person that you like listening to and you like their personality, there's a chance that you're more likely to come and see a show because you feel like you know them better as a whole. So I guess if I'd been a bit more, if my face had been around where when people heard the songs, then maybe more people would have bought tickets. That's the only other argument I can make on the other side. But I'm very grateful for the way it's been.
And you toured with Shawn Mendes, so you've seen also the complete opposite of.
Yeah, of course. Shawn was very famous, very young, and
you were the same age. Right?
Yeah, he's actually a bit younger than me. He's like maybe 6 months younger, but still same age. And that was obviously, you're right, that is the opposite. That is, everyone knows what he looks like, and I've seen that firsthand. That can be a bit difficult sometimes if you're out in public and things like that. So
it's also very positive side that you're like can walk around.
Yeah. I'm going to go walk around Amsterdam after this, and I'm not worried at all about how that's going to go.
A bit of Hannah Montana, I guess.
Yeah, a bit of Hannah Montana. Yeah.
And did you have any insecurities growing up, and how did you handle them?
I think the first one that comes to mind, I had really bad skin, just like my dad did, and then my auntie did, so I did. And when I was maybe 13 onwards, it got quite bad, and I would maybe not go to parties sometimes and things like that.
Because of the insecurity?
Yeah, because I felt like sometimes it would be so irritated and like red and bad looking that I didn't want people to like see me like that, I guess. So that's probably one of the main ones that I remember growing up.
And how did you change the mindset?
Well, firstly, my skin got better as I got a bit older, which was nice. And I think I knew deep down anyway that people didn't really care, and I cared a lot more than they did. So I think just over time, maybe with the music, I felt like more confident after performing, and that made me think less about my skin. But it could have gone the other way too, I guess.
Also creating self-love, I guess.
Yeah, that too. I mean, when you're young, that's a strange concept because when you're 16, you're not thinking about self-love or how to make yourself feel better. But now looking back, I guess that's what was slowly happening, yes.
So self-acceptance, self-love, creating that. And how do you take care of your mental health while being on tour? Because you're traveling all through the world for quite a few years.
Sorry.
I was just wondering, how do you take care of your mental health?
I think just having good people a phone call away or a text away, and not isolating myself so much. When I first started sort of going to LA a lot after leaving school, I didn't really reach out to a lot of my friends because I felt like they were getting on with their life and I was just removed from it. And then when we would speak a few years later, and I'd say, oh, to be honest, I felt pretty like alone and they said, oh, we just thought you were busy doing your thing. So we were both misunderstanding each other, and therefore I think I just learned from that. You just have to keep chatting to people no matter where you are, and that will make you feel more at home and less lonely.
Keep communicating and
reaching out.
Yeah, that's very nice. And well, obviously your wife is also sitting here.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
We met at a table tennis lesson in London, and Laura was the coach of the lesson, and I had bought the ticket to like the pass to go to the lesson at 2 a.m. the same morning before going to bed spontaneously, basically.
And how did you know that you wanted to have a relationship with her?
Well, she's laughing because it took me quite a while to be ready to the idea of a relationship, because I'd basically been in a relationship for 6 years, and I just not quite recently come out of that. So I was kind of anti-commitment, anti-relationship, definitely had a lot of work to do on myself, and we met. So it took me a while, but I think it got to the point where I just realized that I didn't want to have a life that didn't include Lauda in it. So when that became obvious, then of course that committing and being in a relationship felt like the natural thing.
Yeah. And she kept waiting for you?
She was very patient, yeah. I owe her one for that, yeah.
And what did you learn the most in the 2 years of marriage you have now?
I just think we communicate really well. I think if either of us are feeling a certain way about anything, we're quite open with each other immediately about it. We don't hold anything back and sort of self-process it. So I think that's helped us. If I'm traveling or if we're in a stressful period, we just sort of moved, and moving is a stressful thing. So all those kind of things, we just communicate how we feel the whole time.
That's like a trick of making a marriage happen.
I mean, well, it's been 2 years. I mean, we're right at the beginning, but I'd say of the things that I've learned so far, that's been the important one, yeah.
And you just turned 28 3 days ago. And if you compare your 18-year-old self to who's just started to the man you are now, like 28, how do you reflect back on it? Like, what did you learn the most of life?
Ooh, I think that the idea of my head of the 18-year-old James is actually just a different person. Even with my older songs, I feel like I didn't write them because it has been so long since I've written them, and I've written so many songs since, and I've become a different person since and grown, that I almost feel like I can't take credit for any of the old music because it's like another life. And I feel the same way about who I was at 18, really. I think life was very, very exciting at that time because music was really starting to happen for me, and that had been my dream for quite a long time. So I was definitely not really making the most of what was happening as well. I was just so focused on the next thing. And I have an example of that here, because when I first supported Shawn, he played in Paradiso here, and then it was a few years later I got to play in Paradiso as well. And a member of my team who books my shows and stuff, they came over and they saw me in the meet and greet and said, congrats, like this is such a great achievement. And I completely sort of ignored what he said and said, where are we going to play next time when we're in Amsterdam? Because I just wanted to keep growing, of course. And now looking back, I think I wish I'd just sort of been a bit more present in those moments. And I'd say that's the main thing that it makes me think of.
But how was the period of time when the music took off?
It was just, I don't know, I think I wasn't too overwhelmed. I was just excited, and I was just looking at the next thing. I wanted to grow, I wanted to reach more people and play bigger shows, and like every artist wants to do. But in thinking that way, I was completely neglecting, in a way, what was happening at the time. And I shouldn't have done that. I should have focused on that a bit more.
And how did you learn to be more present? Because I really heard the power of now from Eckhart Tolle a bit through your story.
Cool. I think, my wife Laura has been great with that, because when I started releasing music when we were together, she would always make sure that we did something to celebrate a song coming out. And I think when you're an artist, in the beginning, there's this novelty about releasing music, and then eventually you're releasing your 50th song, and obviously it doesn't feel quite as special as it did from the first. So, but she would always bake a cake, or we'd go out for dinner, or we'd do something fun. And I think even though we don't have to do those things, you should just do it. And I say that to any of my friends who are artistic or creative, and even you putting this episode out, you should celebrate it, because you put a lot of effort into it, and so I'm getting better thanks to my wife and what she's teaching me, I guess.
Yeah, so celebrate the little moments in life.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and being present in the now, and then just calming your nerves down, and
exactly.
That's great. And what's one thing you like to accomplish when you look into the future?
I don't know exactly how to answer that, because I'm trying to figure that out myself right now. I think now that I'm an independent artist, I'm not sort of attached to a big company. The environment is different, even though I'm still releasing music, but I'm taking a lot more weight on myself in doing that. That's what all independent artists have to do. So therefore my goals are also changing, because of the amount of sort of workload compared to what it was before, and different workload. That's a strange answer.
Yeah,
I guess. What am I looking forward to? I'm still looking forward to making music that I love and that I believe in, and I think is me in music. But in terms of sort of setting a goal per se, I'm not sure what I want.
And you told in another interview that you were thinking of quitting sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I think in any creative, or even when you're just self-employed and you're in that mindset, it can be a lot sometimes, and you can be fed up of it. And sometimes the idea of doing something where, someone else is sort of the boss and you just do your part, that sounds like a lot more chill, but I'd probably be less happy and fulfilled doing that. So yeah, sometimes I do think about stopping, and then I'll go home and I'll tell Laura and I'll say, oh, I think I'm done. And she's great, because instead of going, oh no, don't quit, she'll just go, oh, okay. And then the next day she knows that I'm gonna be like, I've got this song idea and I love it, and then I'll just go back to being myself.
So it's
again.
Like a bit of waves.
Yeah, it's always waves. I'm just a dramatic person.
Yeah, of course, because you're already from school, if I hear it from your story. Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you look back on your life, what are a few highlights that you already accomplished?
I think when I supported Shawn in London, I got to play at the O2 Arena, and to me, that's my Ziggo right? So the idea of playing at an arena in London, in my home country, was very cool. I guess hearing one of my songs on the radio, that's cool. And just driving in the car, I remember the first time was in San Diego that happened. And it was funny, for the first 30 seconds, I was like, I know this song, but I don't know who it is. And then it clicked, and I pulled over and I filmed it. And so those are two that come to mind.
It's surreal when you hear your own song on the radio.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's strange, but it's fun. Yeah.
And if you look back to the music you made 10 years ago till now, what is the biggest difference between?
I guess I just have different things to say. I think when you get older, you realize a bit more about life and your values and what it is, how you want to live. And I'm trying now to incorporate a bit more of that into my music. Whereas before, I was just like a teenager writing about crushes and what love was then, and you know what I mean.
But they were really vulnerable.
Yeah, I think that's been a consistent thing in my music. It's just, if I'm honest, then I know, it's kind of like, if I'm honest, I know that someone else will connect to my honesty. But if I'm pretending to be or feeling a certain way because it's cool or it's sad or whatever, then it doesn't usually connect as much. So if I'm vulnerable and honest, then I almost know people will connect.
But if I look around, the men I know, they find it really difficult to be very vulnerable or honest.
Yeah, I've written about that too, about my dad and not being so open, and I guess I'm an open book. I'm very emotional and open about it, so it's easier for me. Yeah.
So you hope to be an example to support people to be more vulnerable.
Definitely.
And then
anyone, yeah.
And are there a few downsides also in your life?
To being vulnerable, or in general?
Or in general.
I guess what I said about sometimes when you're a creative, or being a creative and trying to exist in a very sort of business corporate world, because at the end of the day it's called the music business, and that's tricky, to try and balance art with actually having a living and all that sort of stuff. And as I said, it can be lonely sometimes too. Those are probably the two.
Yeah, and how do you make the difference between James and James CW?
Yeah, I talk about if I'm talking to my friends and I say, oh well, normally a James CW concert is like this, and obviously that's kind of me talking about myself in the third person, which sounds terrible. But that's the way I separate it. To me, I'm just James, and then James CW is my work, and that's my project. And of course, I'm still communicating how I feel as James in my James CW songs. But I don't really think of the two as the same thing, and I'm fine with that.
So you can separate it when, from a 9-to-5 job, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. I guess when I talk about James CW, I'm clocking into the office, right? And then when I'm just hanging out at home, that's just me.
It's James. And if you're now in Amsterdam, do you have like a few good memories from Amsterdam, because you've been quite a few times?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places to visit because it's, from the beginning, it was one of the most supportive cities and countries for my music. When You Love Someone really did well on the radio over here, and that was the first time that had ever happened to me where one of my songs had done well on the radio anywhere. So I remember coming here and you know, more people showed up to my concerts here and even showed up to radio shows to say hi, and so I have so many great memories of being here.
It's also so funny because everyone I told that I was going to interview you, they were like, who? And then I was like saying the song, and then they were like, oh, yeah, I know the song.
And that is exactly what I was saying earlier about people know the song, they know what I mean, that's fine, yeah.
That's awesome, because you're having the Candlelight concert this evening.
Yes, yeah.
How is it to be on tour with the Candlelight?
It's actually been kind of scary because usually I play with a sort of band, like with drums and keys. And I've just been performing on my own to make it really acoustic and intimate and just like a conversation almost between me and everyone else. But I haven't performed like that since like being on the Shawn tour maybe. And I've been quite scared, like up on stage, more scared than I felt in a long time.
How come?
I don't know. I think it's because I feel more vulnerable, like on stage on my own. There's no like loud backing music. So if I mess up my chord or if I sing a bad note, everyone is going to know. It's not hidden behind, and that's okay. You're right. That is okay. But I'm also, I want to hold myself to a high standard on stage.
You're a perfectionist.
I guess, yeah, in certain ways. Yeah. So that's why I think I've been a bit more, but it's been a fun challenge as well.
Yeah. And what are the highlights so far? And also there were a few things that went wrong.
With the tour?
With the tour, yeah.
Yeah, there were shows that had to get cancelled, and all of the cancellations were out of my control. I was very much looking forward to the shows, and I hope I can go back. But yeah, just some fell through, basically.
And how do you handle that mentally?
Well, yeah, that's been a bit tough because I've seen it's let people down, and you know, certainly people who were traveling from out of whatever city had already booked their stuff, and that did upset me for a while. But I guess if I can go back and put on a show and hopefully they can be there, then that'd be great.
And then you'll just get a lot more energy from it that day.
Yeah.
And if you look back on your life with everything that happened, are there a few things that you really want to say before you give the advice to your younger self?
Just things that I remember?
Yeah, like tips to people, for young people who are also following their dream to become an artist, for example.
Oh, I think if you want to be an artist, I think you sort of have to believe in yourself more than anyone else does to begin with. And it's important to still have people around you, like your parents or friends or anyone that believe in you. But you really have to believe in yourself. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for someone else to convince you. And I guess the other thing I'd say is, in today's world, it's really important to put yourself out there on sort of social media at the moment. And I think any new artist would really struggle in this environment right now to make a living if they did not do that. And I think a lot of artists want to keep their stuff sort of secret, and they don't want to post, and they just want to be sort of unknown and mysterious. But I think it's quite hard to do that now, so I would just encourage people to share. Don't hold your music back for too long. Just start sharing it and you'll grow as you go.
So be authentic also.
Definitely be authentic. You're better answering these questions than me.
No, just listening to your
that's what you
answers,
get
and then I'll
authenticity is very important too, of course.
Yeah. And if you look back, is the last question. If you look back to your whole life, what are a few things or one advice that you want to give to your younger self with the knowledge you have now?
It would be to enjoy every part of the journey, I guess. Every release, every concert. Even this evening, I'm reminding myself that this is very cool, that this is happening. And I'm doing a classic me and thinking already, well, when's the next Amsterdam show going to be? and I haven't even done this one. And all the people that are coming tonight, I'm so grateful they're going to be there. I feel very lucky. So yeah, my advice would be to focus more on the present and now, and celebrate it, I guess.
I really want to thank you for this conversation and the
Thank
opportunity.
you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.